Right now, you are looking at probably one of the most important charts in all of crypto. In this video, I'll explain what it means for XRP holders and how to take advantage of this move. Now, over the last 6 months, XRP has been range bound and painting a bull flag in a stronger long-term uptrends, and what happens next is going to shock the market, leaving many people sitting on the sidelines in disbelief and then a little too late as they FOMO in at higher prices. And what's even more wild is that this is off the back of the news that the Senate has now officially passed the Genius Act for stablecoin legislation. And this has the potential to push crypto markets forward years into the future. But for whatever reason, markets still haven't priced this in yet. And that's probably because they're bored. And this is huge because we're talking trillions upon trillions of dollars of inflows driving new demand, more applications, more corporate adoption, and real world assets, as by all estimates, by 2030, over $16 trillion will enter the real world asset tokenization space. And as Ripple has offered their RLUSD stablecoin, much of that value and volume will go through the XRP ledger because it is secure, fast, and scalable. And also, they're one of the only really truly regulated stablecoins in the market that is valued 1-to-1 by the US dollar, 100% backed by deposits, short-term US government treasuries, and other cash equivalents, that is audited by a third-party accounting firm and is MiCA compliant throughout all of Europe. This is such large news, in fact, that even Brad Garlinghouse chimed in, stating that for years, crypto companies have been calling on Congress to pass crypto legislation and set rules for the road. This is the first major financial bill since Dodd-Frank, the first crypto bill to pass in the Senate, which now moves to the House and is truly a historic. So if this is all historic, then why is XRP failing to break out and move for new local highs, and arguably even new all-time highs? Well, over my years of investing in strong and sound assets like XRP, the best time to accumulate, or at least what I've learned, is when markets are dull, boring, and even bullish news fails to push the price. This means a lot of market participants have become indifferent, but if it fails to break for new lows, then that is a signal that this thing might be ready to pop, because then one day, one piece of news, maybe the spot ETF hitting the US markets, you see price start to advance and then explode. Then you get all of these latecomers coming in, FOMOing, and buying your bags at a premium, while professionals and serious investors already reap the rewards of a sound plan and a strategy of accumulation during those dull moments. Now, I'm not saying it's going to explode right now, but I think a lot of whales have been accumulating into potential new highs in July. So we might not still be out of the woods just yet, because Trump is going to make an Iran decision within 2 weeks on whether or not he's going to strike them, and an announcement of a strike in Iran will likely continue to send the markets further down. But this would be a great time to accumulate and buy the dip into a longer term bullish market uptrend. So many people have the question, what actually happens next? And in this video, I'll be sure to dive into that and give you some price targets on what could potentially cause you to either get wrecked along the way or how to protect yourself into the future. And also, before we dive in, if you haven't had a chance to yet, head on over to Bull Runners HQ on Twitter or X and be sure to enter our raffle for a chance to win $100 worth of XRP. And literally all you need to do is scroll down to the pinned post, follow through with each of these steps. We do verify and double verify that you followed through all 3 of those steps before we run the giveaway, because many people don't actually do that, and we pick a winner at random. This week's winner was I See Clearly, and next week's winner on Sunday could be you. So be sure to follow through with those steps. And as always, my friend, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the channel, my friend. If you're new here, my name is Paul, and you can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PauliDeFi. DEFI. Really quickly, I'm going to start the video by sharing this video from Senator Cynthia Lummis, who passed the Genius Act. What's really interesting is that she's been working behind the scenes with Senator Hagerty and a few others to get this bill passed, which is a very big deal for the crypto market. But what's more interesting is the fact that she actually ignored Brad Garlinghouse altogether, even though that they had a meeting in the past. She canceled it, never rescheduled. Brad Garlinghouse made a statement and a post on Twitter and X, to which she never got back to him. Maybe she just didn't want to be bipartisan or playing favorites in the crypto market, considering Brad Garlinghouse and team over at Ripple have RLUSD stablecoin, and that could potentially be a conflict of interest, or maybe there's more going on behind the scenes. But whatever the case may be, the Genius Act is huge for crypto because, like I said, the stablecoin market is going to reach trillions of dollars into the future. And right now it's still very nascent because there hasn't been any regulatory clarity in the largest financial market in the world. But directly from Ripple.com, they even share that they serve, and we're talking about stablecoins, as a foundation for the next generation of payments, finance, and institutional DeFi. And when you toss all of this on the blockchain, not only is there more transparency, but the fees are far smaller. You cut out the middlemen, and ultimately it just modernizes the entire global digital economy. Think about it. How often are you dealing in cash versus swiping a card? Well, imagine that's the case, except even further into the future, you're only going to be dealing in blockchain. Or back in the day, companies used to have all sorts of archaic mainframe computers. These days, everything is on cloud. And that made many companies like Amazon and Microsoft many billions of dollars and put their market caps into the trillions. Well, when we're talking about the global financial state of things, stablecoins are absolutely necessary and will arguably solidify the US dollar's dominance into the next decade, because stablecoin issuers are going to be the strongest holders of US treasuries. So let's go ahead and have a listen to what she shared.
Today is a day I've been working towards for over 4 months. After months of intense negotiations, we are minutes away from passing the Genius Act, Senator Bill Hagerty's legislation that will be a first step towards modernizing the American payment system and integrating digital assets into the U.S. economy in a responsible way. I want to congratulate my friend Senator Hagerty for this achievement and thank him for his incredible leadership on this bill. He's been a true ally of the digital asset industry, and I'm so proud to have worked with him on his Genius Act over the past few months. Since 2017, Wyoming has been on the forefront of digital asset policy, long before it was popular or politically expedient. In Wyoming, we recognized early on what the rest of the country is beginning to understand, that digital assets are a force for good, and that you can have both responsible innovation and consumer protection side by side.
Now, really quickly, before we dive into the rest of the news and something that is truly groundbreaking alongside how the whales are accumulating and that chart we talked about, head on over to altcoinpro.com. You can find the link in the description below in order to get access to our university, where we have consistently at least 1,000 members and one of the highest retentions on this entire platform, because the value is bar none some of the best in the space, and I would argue better than anything else you'll find in crypto. We have a team that is not only professional but truly knows and understands the crypto market to help you navigate the ins and outs of DeFi, picking altcoins. We share all sorts of altcoin picks, getting access to airdrops, putting your crypto to work for you so you can earn yield and interest on it. And then obviously all the classes that we offer, even teaching you how to do technical analysis like a pro, which I offer. And every single Tuesday, if you head on over to the calendar, you can see that I host a live technical analysis Tuesday call where you can ask your questions live. It's very intimate, and I show you how to think and approach the charts. But that's not all. We also have a library of strategies and guides when it comes to into Ether taxes, buying and selling, understand vaults and yields, what that means, how to create a DeFi wallet, how to trade pairs, even real estate markets with Parcel. There's so much you can learn just with this one membership. And yes, it's $97 a month, but let me show you how you can get that taken care of. So once you're a member, you click right here, you go to DeFi Yield Picks, and our expert in the world of yield farming, DeFi Mo, shares all sorts of opportunities. We like to call them quick wins. For example, just 6 days ago, he shared this DeFi yield opportunity on USDC. In other words, you're just holding a stable coin if you're sitting out of the market with any level of cash, and you can earn 30% APY. In other words, if you're just sitting on $3,500 of US dollars on chain, you can put it to work for you, earn about $1,000 in yield yearly through this one protocol, and it will cover the cost of your membership here at Altcoin Pro University. Then everything else is a completely free ride. And that's obviously if you get the entire yearly package. And just to give you an example of some of the value that you would have received once you get this thing paid for, if you don't, within 14 days, you can't take advantage of one of these DeFi yield picks, then go ahead and ask for your money back. But we're so confident that we can help you because we give you the step-by-step tutorials from our pros and experts. Back in November of 24, last year, we were talking about Hyperliquid, the L1 exchange killer, and the volume and the value behind this protocol before it had even launched. Then we shared that there was an airdrop opportunity. Since that point in time, many of our members took advantage of the airdrop as well as bought the token. And as you can see here, the chart goes back to December of last year before it was even available on any exchanges. And this is Pith, by the way. Since that point in time, it's up 226%. So even if you got in somewhere in the middle at like $17, you'd still be up 121%. In other words, a $10,000 investment would have netted you another $21,000, $22,000. So ask yourself, is the value actually there? And all you have to do is at least check it out by going to altcoinpro.com. You can click the link down in the bio or the description below, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's get back into the video. Now, in order to know what's causing some of these whales to accumulate, we kind of have to understand maybe why they're accumulating. And I believe one of the major reasons that this is happening is because now, according to Paul Grewal, who is the CLO or Chief Legal Officer over at Coinbase and holds a very big position and title in all of crypto, basically stated on June 18th that Canadians begin trading their XRP spot ETF, that Canada actually had the first Bitcoin ETF in 2021, and now it beat the US with an XRP ETF. And I think he's giving a subtle nod of approval, or better yet, letting us know that there is on the horizon an XRP spot ETF, which I do believe will cause the price on XRP to explode. And this has been cross-reported everywhere, even on the Coin Telegraph from the Toronto Stock Exchange listing this ETF. And now we're starting to see that on the actual on-chain analytics. So let me go ahead here and just share with you what we're seeing. As you can see, this blue line, well, let's start with the green line. The green line is the price action on XRP. Looks very familiar. We cover this often, right? We had our high back in January. Since that point in time, we've been trending down with a new local low sometime in April right over here. Since that point in time, you can see that people that hold X amount of XRP in their wallets have been accumulating. So anyone that holds between 10,000 to 100,000 XRP, which I would argue are probably more serious investors, considering in order to have 10,000 XRP, you would need at least $20,000+. You can see that that line has consistently been climbing up. In other words, people or the amount of wallets that hold this much XRP have been growing. Then as you can see here, this red one, which is extremely interesting, is showing a massive spike to the upside in accumulation. Anyone or wallets that hold between 1 million to 10 million XRP, I would call this our investors. These are bigger players with access to more capital and money, whether it's their own or otherwise. You can see that somewhere around here on June 3rd into June 5th, they really added to their bags quite a bit. And the red line, again, you see that big old bump to the upside. Then even the yellow guys, and this is probably more institutional institutional level, we're talking 10 million to 100 million XRP tokens in wallets, has consistently been trending to the upside. And right here, you can see that the trend is up and to the right. We do get some volatility like this. I'm not too sure what they're doing there, whether they're trading it, whether they're simply moving it, and it's changing the on-chain analytics. But generally speaking, more and more wallets on the 10 million to 100 million XRP are also accumulating. All of this Needless to say, all of this is pointing to far higher prices in the future. It seems like all of these cohorts know something that most people don't, as they're accumulating into the ranges between 170 up to $2.30. And are getting prepped and primed for a breakout. Now, the only thing that I think could deter this breakout is a potential strike from the US in Iran. That doesn't mean that we're going to be in a full-blown war. I think it would end pretty quickly if the US truly did strike Iran. However, I do believe that could cause a bit of fear and cause a bit of a sell-off in the market. So we might not be out of the woods just yet. And looking at the XRP chart, I would still like to see a break above 225 and arguably above the 240 range in order for us to really get back into a healthy trend to the upside. Since this point in time, we've had nice little flag, which when we break above this range right here should take us into new all-time highs, and I would argue at least $5 for a psychological resistance. But if we break below the $2.08 range down to about $2.05, things are going to look kind of ugly for XRP, and I think we could hit 180 down to 150. Now, that's again not me being ultra bearish. It simply means that XRP needed a bit more time in this range before truly making new highs. So that said, anything can happen right now, considering on the daily time frame we've been just ranging since May 30th. And if I come down to, let's say, that 4-hour time frame, we did see quite a big of a sell-off right here on the Israel-Iranian news. But it seems that investors still have an appetite and are still accumulating. So if your long-term strategy, you don't really care if we dump down to 180 again, and you're happy to buy between 216 to 230 all the way down to 180 or lower, then yes, it's probably a good time to start dollar cost averaging and deploying capital, because it's very much possible and potential that we also break above the $2.35 range here in the near future. And anything above this range and target right up here is again likely going to take us for new local highs and new all-time highs sometime even potentially in July, which is what I think bulls are counting on, and that's why the accumulation has been so high. And we saw that spike on wallets that have over 1 million XRP, because we just saw Canadians add to the XRP ETF, and now I think he's nodding to the fact that the US is going to get an XRP ETF in the very near future as well. This could be the news that pushes the price for new highs. Still, it comes down to your approach and strategy. If you're longer term, you don't care if it dumps a bit more, dollar cost average. If you want to be patient, either wait for a break above 235 or wait for a break down to at least 180, if not 150, and then start deploying your capital. But it's up to you. And that is it for the video, folks. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also check out bullrunners.com to get access to our free ebook, Altcoin Secrets, and get the 23 secrets to becoming a crypto millionaire. All you need to do is click that link, click this little button right here, enter your email, and we'll send it to your inbox. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, my friend.